So I think most people out there absolutely agree that Nintendo could be doing a lot more than they are when it comes to adding in new features to Nintendo Switch Online, as at this point in time, it's fairly safe to only expect Nintendo to add in things like new NES and SNES games sporadically and few and far between to the base service, and then the loose update schedule of a new N64 game per month, and every other month or every 3 months looking at a batch of new Sega Genesis games. And outside of that, we really don't see a whole lot hit the service. Sure, an occasional free game trial, and yes, you always have access to things like save cloud data and online play for multiplayer games on the base tier of the service. And in today's video, I want to go over the newest interesting feature that Nintendo has just enabled here in the North American region for Nintendo Switch Online subscribers, and break down and discuss how this feature works and recommend whether or not you should be paying attention to this with future game purchases right now. What's up, Nation? If it's your first time on the channel, make sure you join Sunbro Nation by subscribing below. Hit the like button on this video if you enjoy it today, and make sure you turn on your bell notification icon so you're kept up to date with all the newest gaming news. Now, as I mentioned, guys, today we are discussing Nintendo's newest interesting feature that has been enabled for Nintendo Switch Online, apparently brought back to the North American region, as I vaguely remember this being marketed before, but I never really fully paid attention to it. And yes, we are talking about Nintendo Switch game vouchers. Apparently overseas, this has been something that is an ongoing promotion, but again, it is new for us, and you may have seen, or at least brought back new in that sense, and you may have seen that mysterious trailer that went live on Nintendo of America's YouTube channel, then it was pulled down, then it was re-enabled, and now it is officially here and announced. Some speculate that maybe this was supposed to be saved for the Direct, and that trailer going live by mistake spoiled it. Who knows what the behind the scenes plans were with the feature, but whenever you do talk about Nintendo Switch Online and kind of the lack of structure and value and new features added in from Nintendo month in and month out, I will take anything in terms of a new update to what this service has to offer at its core. As first off, you do have to be an NSO subscriber to take advantage of this, and it's actually not a bad deal, because essentially what we're going to be talking about here with this is the fact that you can now save $10 on each game release if you were to buy a pack of the 2 vouchers, which you may notice is $99.98. Of course, we are talking for digital gamers only, as this will not translate to in-store purchases for physical copies like I tend to purchase, but it is something that's nice that if you're wanting to build out your digital library of Switch games, this is an option for you to essentially save $20 off of 2 different game purchases if you combine them together. So you can see here on the website where it says Nintendo Switch Online members can buy a pair of Nintendo Switch game vouchers and redeem each one for a digital game in the voucher catalog to score savings. Big asterisk there, the game has to be in the voucher catalog, which we will go over in just a second. And this is a buy now rather and use later type feature, and you have up to 12 months to redeem the voucher from when you buy it. So don't think that you can purchase these things and then just totally forget about them, and next year when a game comes out that you want to actually purchase, you have 12 months from when you purchase them to actually redeem a game. Then it says more games, more savings. You can have up to 8 active vouchers in your account at a time. Build your Nintendo Switch library at a discount. A growing list, new games are regularly added to the catalog, including upcoming releases. And that's a big thing whenever we're going to talk about games around the corner like Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. We're less than 100 days away at the time of filming this video. It's almost here. It's almost finally time to finally be able to go through that and experience that adventure. You also earn 5% worth of Nintendo Gold points that you can, of course, discount towards other digital games. Now, whenever we look at the eligible games that you have in question here, a couple right out of the top of the gate, because the pre-orders are available, is Bayonetta Origins, which I definitely do not feel like this game warrants a $60 price point. It is cool that Bayonetta is getting like a deep cut game for hardcore fans that dives into the lore of Bayonetta, but I don't think that the art style and the graphical presentation, if you just look at what they've portrayed so far, warrants that $60 price. Even the style of gameplay, this seems like it should have been sold at a $30 or $40 price point maximum, but at least you could redeem it through the game voucher and save $10 off instead of spending that full $60 retail. The next one on the list, and we won't go through all the games here, but just a couple highlights at the start of it, is Kirby's Return Return to Dreamland Deluxe, because that's another one. It's a Wii port. $60 seems like a stiff price for it. We do know that it's going to add in some additional features based off of some leaked box art, even though we haven't gotten a full explanation and deep dive into exactly what that will entail. It still objectively is just a tall asking price whenever it comes to this being a straight up Wii port. Granted, I do enjoy Kirby games, especially the side-scrolling ones like these, and while I loved Kirby and the Forgotten Land most recently, I am not opposed to replaying through this adventure. As I only briefly touched it on the Wii, I never owned it, so this is one for me that will at least be new in the sense that it's not a game I have memorized or anything like that. And again, this is just a nice way that if you buy this $99 pack, you could pick up Bayonetta Origins and Kirby's Return to Dreamland on this at a $99 price point, so you've saved $10 on each game. Outside of that, you have Fire Emblem Engage, Splatoon 3, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. Really all of the major first-party recent Nintendo Switch releases I've found to be on this list for the most part. You have a nice mix of different games. Go buy Metroid Dread for $50 instead of $60 if you haven't already. You guys should know I've talked about it enough on the channel at this point. Metroid Dread was hands down my favorite game released in 2021 on the Nintendo Switch, and it is just a ton of fun. Granted, it does pack a punch in the difficulty department, but they now have an easy mode if that's not quite your style, and fortunately, you can check out a demo for that game to really see if it's for you, although I will say there is a learning curve. You might have to give it a little bit more time than what the demo allows, but another one that I'll go out of my way to remind you guys to go pick up if you haven't already. Some of these games are the $49.99 price point, which I don't know why you would buy a game that's not a full $60 retail, because you're really defeating the purpose. If I buy WarioWare Get It Together and I buy Miitopia, at that point I've spent the $100 the same retail as I would have buying them individually, so there's kind of not a lot of logic there unless you just really wanted one of those games. But I would steer clear of the $50 price point ones unless if there's something tied to this that I'm not aware of. I don't think Nintendo gives any extra value for you purchasing a lower cost game, but you can see kind of the rest of these on screen here as we get ready for Pikmin 4. You may want to check out Pikmin 3 Deluxe. Again, these are all digital only deals, so you are not going to be able to get anything physically with this, but this is yet another thing that we can at least kind of say is, I guess, a benefit for Nintendo Switch Online subscribers. And that's where I'll just spend a little bit of time, because as we go through the rest of the list here, Zelda Breath of the Wild, pick up that one if you haven't already. We're getting close to Tears of the Kingdom. As I said earlier, I would expect games like Tears of the Kingdom and a lot of games at the upcoming rumored Nintendo Direct that we should see announced soon will most likely be added into this list. And that is where I think it is nice that you have a full year to redeem them, because you could potentially save yourself $10 on Tears of the Kingdom and pick up something else you wanted right out of the gate. And while Tears of the Kingdom isn't confirmed to be on this list, I definitely think it will be if you look at the other lineup of first-party games that it's supports today, and they go out of their way to highlight that more games will be added in the future. So as I mentioned, a feature is a feature, and I'm glad we have something new to talk about in the way of NSO support and deals for existing and new members. I still think that there is a long path that Nintendo has to travel to really get up to par when you compare it to the competition with the other guys, especially a very comparable service like PlayStation Plus, which, if you're getting the expansion pack with Nintendo, is only a $10 difference from the base tier of Sony's PlayStation Plus offerings, and you get a guaranteed 3 new games each month added into the service. PS5 and PS4 games, a mix of the two. They're not always my favorite titles, but at least I have clear-cut communication on what to expect from Sony, and they stick to a regular update schedule, and they support things like on-console party chat. When it comes to connecting with your friends, you have things like usernames instead of friend codes. We know that Nintendo typically is somewhat stuck in the past when it comes to their online service offerings. We are slowly seeing them more adapt with the times, but I clearly still think that they have a long way to go, and I will just be curious to see if we really have to wait until the true next generation overhaul of what NSO becomes with the new system, or if we will get incremental new features. And before we know it, in the next year or so, we may have a broader console library as part of NSO, and we may start to see things like included eShop games, 1 or 3 per month. Something would be really nice like that, especially if we're talking about that $50 to $60 annual price point, as I definitely would not rule out a third tier being introduced at some point into Nintendo Nintendo Switch Online, as we've seen with a lot of the other competition, break it into multiple tiers, and I could see a $60 or even $70 annual price point if Nintendo, in their mind, believes they're offering enough value to their consumers to justify that. But I'm personally not setting my expectations to have any other major features or even new console reveals for the retro library of games until something like the September Nintendo Direct, where we historically see Nintendo go out of their way to have an NSO portion of that event to reveal something new. But I want to hear from you guys at this point in the video, all your personal thoughts and feelings on Nintendo Switch Online today. How do you feel about game vouchers coming back to the US regions, and are you actually a fan of that? Do you think that this is too little too late and really there's no saving the value of NSO at this point? Are you personally going to plan on picking up any of your games this way and save the $10 off per title? And bonus question, if you just had to pick one or two features that you really want to see implemented on NSO now or in the future, what would they be? So regardless of your thoughts and feelings on everything we talked about today, I do look forward to hearing from you all in the comments down below before you leave the video, as I do look forward to getting a back and forth conversation started with you all around this topic. Go watch yesterday's video next if you haven't already, which is on screen right now. Also make sure you like, subscribe, turn on your notification bell, and I will see you guys in the next video.